All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to June 20th. Hope you had a nice, relaxing Father's Day weekend. Hopefully you had a nice, happy, and reflective Juneteenth yesterday. And we're here today to talk about more stuff like we normally do, all things related to Bluebeam. I'm Jason Artley, joined here with Mike Lachabe. And we've got an interesting topic today, one that we've covered before, but we're going to go into a little bit more detail, and we'll get to that in just a bit. So with that, good morning, Michael. How's it going today, my friend?
Good. Out here in the Grand Canyon States, we are starting to heat up, but monsoon's actually here right when it started to heat up. So this was like our first triple digits that was consistent. But yeah, we were having dinner last night, my wife and I, and there was clouds. It's like, is it monsoon season already? Because it was weird that we haven't had extreme heat consistently. So I'm kind of liking the change in the weather personally. Not over scorching, and now we have good old rain.
See, now we're backwards because today it's going to be 97 and there's not a lick of rain in sight. So it's dry and it's hot and I don't like it, but it is what it is. It is also, and I already mentioned it, it's June 20th, which means you have 8 days until the end of life of Review 2019 and below. So let's talk more about what this means. As of that day, some functionality will stop working. You will start losing access to Studio. Meaning if you've got studio projects, if you've got studio sessions, if they're old, you want to get up there, back up your stuff, download what you can, because you won't have access to it starting June 28th. Now, it could be June 29th, it could be June 30th. That's all up to Amazon and those web servers that Bluebeam Studio utilizes. But June 28th is the official cutoff. That also means that you will not have support. So if something goes wrong, and probably the biggest thing is you're not going to be able to register and unregister your licenses or move those to another computer, right? So if your computer dies and you're in the middle of a project, you're not going to be able to go swap it out, right? You're going to be forced to the new version, which is Review 21. Now, Review 21 is great. We've been using it. There's so many benefits. There's no really big reason for sticking with the old stuff. And with that, Bluebeam has a promotion going on, which also ends June 28th. Again, you have 8 days to take advantage of this. What this promotion is, it's called Level Up. You talk to your reseller. They'll know all about it. You can trade in whatever license you have. If you've got some 15, some 16, even some old push button PDF from back in the day, those all have a trade-in value that will get you 50% off of 1 year subscription, right? So instead of paying $400 for complete, you can get Review 20, or you hello, I was trying to read the chat. I'm like, wait a minute,
say that
words aren't working. Hang on. Instead of spending $400 for complete, it'll be $200 the first year, right? So you're going to save 50%. It's going to be worth your time, right? You're going to have to go eventually, but there you go. So with that said,
yeah, Ed, they haven't announced anything for 20, but it's going to follow suit at some point. So essentially what happened with 2019 and below, they announced an end of sale. So basically they will no longer sell those licenses. And typically with that, then it means end of life. So end of life is a year cap from the end of sale. As you can tell, this has been pushed with this new transition and trying to appease the masses from trying to get into this new subscription model. I guess you would word it that way, or I would. So what they did is they extended it, and that's why we're where we are today, where it's a little bit further out than what we all had thought, what they had mentioned and what they had shown. But it is for sure happening at this point where your 2019 will expire this month in terms of maintenance, in terms of going through into Studio. So you won't be having access to Studio. You can't unregister your license, just like Jason was talking about. So essentially, you're losing your bang for your buck. And they've been listing it everywhere. Even if you had a paid for license, which some of us do here, I would say most of us do here, but you'll get a Studio license or a Studio email if you're using Studio right now that says expiration, because they're just reiterating to everybody, regardless if you have an up-to-date license, that Studio is going away for Review 19 and below.
Right. So there was a change in the actual platform that they're using on the Amazon web service. So if you're on 20 or 21, no problem. Don't have to worry about Studio at all. That's going to be fine. Everything's going to be dandy. Everything 19 and below uses a different platform, and that's what's getting sort of discontinued by Amazon, right? So
which I still feels like the heebie-jeebies, because you could still get into an iPad, which then logs into your old 19. It's
yeah. And it is what it is. There's some things that aren't quite crystal clear, but as far as review 20, my tinfoil hat thing have no data to back this up whatsoever. I would imagine they're going to announce the end of sale later this fall, and then that's going to set the 1-year timer on the end of life of review 20. So I would expect review 20 to continue to working till probably fall of 2024.
Yeah, because we found something, if I remember, on their website that kind of led us to think that that's when it was going to be announced. So
yeah. So
little goose eggs.
It is what it is. But, we talk to a lot of clients that are still hanging on to 14, 15, 16. They got old versions kicking around. They don't know what they're missing, but, they bought it once. It still works. What's the problem? So there's going to be a problem, and you're going to have to face it. And it's not up to us, but at least we can do is warn you. So give you the opportunity to at least save some money as you make that transition. Right?
And you do not, if you are on active maintenance in review 20, just so you're all aware, because I've had talks with clients, they are with resellers, and resellers have been making them pay an upgrade fee. There isn't an upgrade fee if you're on active maintenance in review 20.
Right. If you have active maintenance on review 20, there's no such thing as an upgrade fee.
No.
There are some other resellers who are pulling a dirty on you, and it's not cool. Yeah. Right. So there's no upgrade fee. You do it all yourself through the website portal. So if you need help with that, regardless of who your reseller is, just let us know. We're happy to guide you through there. Right.
Yeah. Happy to have a conversation about it so that you're not led astray. Even if, you want to bring up with what they're doing and talking to you about, again, that's what we're here to do, to help you all. We don't want you to get blindsided.
Yeah. And that's why we're giving you the notice. You got 8 days. I know a lot of buying cycles don't go that fast, but now you've got all the warning you got, because next week we're going to give you 1 day notice, and it's going to be too late. Right.
I think we've been giving notice since last September when they released, was it August or September? Now I forget. When they released review 21. So
yeah, it's been a while. All right. So
let's see. And there any questions about this?
Yeah. So Craig's question, few people are complaining about the long lag it takes to get review 21 open. It takes a minute, occasionally longer, for it to fully log on, and you can't do anything until it does. Doesn't bother me as long as I leave it open the first time. I haven't noticed that myself.
Yeah, let's see how long it takes me to open it.
You start sharing your screen. Let's time it.
Well, let me kill it in the, it doesn't even show active. Okay.
So the question 19, anything you want to trade in is worth that 50% off, right? So if you want to trade in your 20, which you don't really have to, you can do that, or 19, or literally if you've got an old CD on the shelf with a license key for push button PDF, which was the precursor to review, it still has value, right? So go digging. I know we've had a couple firms who are like, yeah, I think we do have some of that. Well, it's worth a couple grand if you got a few of them.
All right.
Let's go.
I don't know if I can hit this at the same time. Is it a double click? I forget. Okay.
What are you doing? I don't see.
Well, I'm using my stopwatch.
Okay. How long does it take? Oh, you got unsafe changes. Okay. That's not terrible. That's about what I remember review 20
took 10 seconds.
Yeah.
If I don't include the thing.
Now, this is a pretty big program, right? This install size is like 1.5 gigs. I expect it to be fairly, slow, but we are on BIMbox laptops. That might help.
Yeah, I guess I never really thought about that, but I felt like review wasn't that robust of a software that would need.
That works fine, but you still can't do anything. Oh, okay. Like go open up a file. Okay. We'll get to the bottom of this. We'll get to the bottom.
Yeah, if you're having an issue, I would reach out to our support. It shouldn't take long to open up a PDF.
No, and we definitely don't want to be leaving software open overnight
Open.
or computers on overnight. It's
No.
just you're asking for a bad time. Um, but while you still got that, can you get back to that
I
screen
mean, it's
there?
opening up all of these, so
Whoa.
in a matter of seconds.
So Bob had a question about those recovery files that just popped up, right?
Yes.
It doesn't happen very often. If you close down
It
your
happens to me
computer,
because I could close it up if things open. But yeah,
yeah, if you've got unsaved changes, it will sort of cache them and give you the opportunity to learn it, or not to save
to
it or
learn
something
it
like that.
to
Yeah.
save them. Yeah.
Ooh, come on, coffee. You're not
More
working today.
early for Mr. Hartley. But yeah, so basically what you can do is you can have your cache save file. So if you go to preferences, where is it again? It is, yep, document, enable document recovery.
Interesting. Is that a default setting?
Mm.
Yes. Well, mine's set. Yeah, enable document recovery. So good stuff. So Craig's saying it opens fast, but if you open a file, it takes over 30 seconds once everything comes up for it to load menus and allow you to do anything. Where is that file saved? Is that file saved on a network or a cloud solution?
Yeah, that probably could be a thing. I didn't think
There
about
could be
that.
a delay somewhere else. It doesn't matter. Interesting. Um,
Well, Craig, I would say reach out to our support. Shouldn't be an issue. Typically, it's since we're not able. Typically, whenever you have a support related question, it's can we replicate it? That way, is it the software that's producing it, or is it an individual desktop or how it's installed issue? Right. That's typically kind of the questions that first happen. Can we replicate it? If not, okay, then it's the individual desktop issue versus the software being the issue.
yeah. So yeah, you sent an email to Bluebeam support, and of course you haven't heard a thing. Oh,
Yeah, use
that's
our
why we
support.
have our support. Use our support.
Yeah.
Support at atgusa.com. You know, we're gonna get back to you in less than 10 minutes. So
Yeah.
so don't waste your time.
Yeah, it could be an install.
Yeah.
It could be an install, how things are utilized from that perspective. I mean, it could be a number of things. So again, always going back to we can't replicate it. So having someone go into your computer and see what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
All right. So let's get on to the meat of today's topic. So what we're going to be talking about is symbols and legends. Why now, right? We've talked about this a while back, but it's been a while, and we're seeing a lot more adoption of custom tools. Troy over at U Chapter 2 has been making some custom tools for a while. He's got some tools on his website. Bluebeam has some on their website, which I'm going to post into the chat right now. And then, of course, here at ATG, our team has been making these tools as well.
Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about how to do it, why to do it, and then what can you do with these things once they're actually created, right? Because there are some powerful things in here that I feel are a little underutilized. And it can certainly be a good differentiator on why we're using Revu over another solution, as well as add just a ton of efficiency to our drawing process, right?
You know, I was thinking it could be the file size too. Um, Jason, for the reason why Revu is not opening up quickly.
The file size?
Yeah.
Could be.
Okay.
Well,
Anyways,
on that note, of talking about file size and PDF health and all that other stuff, if you are in the Atlanta area, come join us at the Bluebeam user group this Thursday. So Michael and I will be presenting at the Atlanta Bluebeam user group all about PDF health and file size and all that other stuff. So pop on over there. Our buddy Patrick will be running that show, and we'll be doing that.
perfect. We're gonna be doing it virtual. Yeah, because I can't fly last minute on a Thursday. Okay, so let's go through and talk about creating some tools. There's a couple different ways. We've done this for some folks. It really just comes down to how you want to utilize them. The ones we recently made here at ATG, they wanted all of them to be actual markup data driven versus using snapshots. So there's a couple of different ways you can go through and do this. We'll do the quickest way first, which is snapshots. So let's say if I wanted to make this elevation target, I know this sheet itself was printed directly out of Revit at 1/8 of an inch, I believe. I don't remember. It's been now a couple years. Sorry, thought I heard a dog growling. We're dog sitting. I wanted to make sure that there was no cats being attacked. So coming back into here, elevation target. So if I hit G here, you can go through and copy this. So this is one way to go through and create your custom markups. So just being aware of that, there's a couple different ways. Just comes down to efficiency. As I go through into here, if I go to your tool chest, now it doesn't automatically paste this. If I go and hit Control V, I now have my existing markup that has been created. So in your recent tools under your tool chest, so your tool chest has been created or populated by selecting it. It's a panel on the left-hand side. If you don't see this panel, you can always right-click, go to Show, and then go to your toolbox here or Alt+X. So that will activate that tool chest, and then you have your tool sets. So I like to use the analogy of an Allen key set or an Allen wrench set. You have an Allen wrench set that usually lives in your toolbox. You don't have to worry about it not making it back into its toolbox because it will always maintain in the tool chest area. You do have to be concerned at which profile. So if you ever wanted to go back and look at profiles, you can. That's one of our older videos. But profiles tie into your tool chests as well as your markups lists. But as I'm looking at this, there are some tool sets that have been created in here. And I'm going to go through and create a new one for symbols, right? Is that what we're going to be going through and doing?
Yep.
So I'm going to go down and select, as you can tell, I have a lot of tool sets in here. I can go and just select manage tool sets, and I can add one, and we'll do MCR 20. We'll do 6. I don't know. Can you do slashes?
We're going to find out.
We're going to find out. Yep. So your options in here when you're creating a tool set is new or existing. You could also have an additional option down below, such as display. That means, is it going to populate open right now? Or is it going to be in my selection at the top? So I'm going to select that, keep it open, show in all profiles. So right now you don't have the ability to pick which profiles it's activated in. It's either the current active profile that you're in or all profiles. So you don't get to pick and choose, like cherry pick these 2 or these 3. It's either all or just the active one that you're in. The next one is, how do you save this specific tool set? Is it going to be relative path or non-relative? I'm going to hit OK. And I'm going to save this into my Review 21. It's going to be the BTX file, hit save, boom. And I guess you can do those slashes. I'm also going to go to here. Let me go back because I want to move this up to the top. And I have a bunch of these. So from here, again, checkboxes mean that they're going to be active. Now I'm going to move this. Can you just drag? No, that's cool. So I'm going to move this all the way up to the top. That way it's
tool sets in there.
I got some bunch of stuff in here that I probably don't need, but we'll move this up to the top as it's going. And then maybe if I hit OK, it'll just drop it where it needed it to be anyways. Cool. So from here, I have my MCR 620 2023. What I'm able to do is drag and drop it into that tool set now. And again, if I go to a second page, I now have this option of placing it. This is just a snapshot. So it's a copy. It's a raster-based image of that existing kind of markup that was created at 1/8 of an inch. Now, one thing you can do here is you can change colors with this. So if I wanted to change everything that was black originally from this to like a magenta color, you could. So there are a couple of things that you can go through and do with this specific one versus creating it from a line-based data-driven area. I can still go through and create a count if I wanted to. I'm not monitoring the chat. Hopefully you are, Arlie.
Yep.
I can create this into a count if I ever wanted to as well. So if you were going to go through and itemize maybe for a specific symbol or anything like that, you could. This is just one way of many ways to go through and create this. You can go to the symbol mode and then to detail mode and change this. So the subject matter of what it is. So if I go back to my page here and look up what this was, great thing is that you can actually copy paste text. Again, if it's vector, not raster, right? So if I go through and select it, this one is a little bit funky with how the text works. But what I can go through in here and I can just say elevation if I wanted to, just so you have that additional information for it. Comments are not for snapshots, but labels are as well. So just being aware of that information that you have for the different types. If I change this into a count, you lose the information of the subject matter, copy paste, and then I can add a label. I don't know. We'll just put EX. As you're going through and placing them, this would be for counts. Now, I have asked this plenty of times. When you're doing counts, you can't really like redesignate the origin of it. I wish there was, so you can place it in a specific like location, like origin here, so that when I place it somewhere, it's from that specific origin. But anyways, going through and just realizing that you can go through and create counts from those specific markups. So I'm going to go through wide select, delete these, and boom. So that's quickly creating it from a snapshot. The other way would be to go through and just recreate these at the scale that they are at. So you can go through and redraw what you need. So if I hold shift, there we go. Change this line density down to kind of match exactly the same thing. Go back. And why is the line not actually straight? Okay, it is. So from here to here, change the thing back. I think it was 0.25 was the other one. Perfect. And then circle. So if we're going to go through, and I think, what was the hotkey again? From the center, was it shift?
Alt.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Early. 0.25. There we are. And then what I can go through and grab is all of this, and I can move it over here. You can select all. So since this is nothing with letters in it, I don't have to be concerned. Where you get concerned is when you're using letters or text. Sorry, not letters. When you're using text command, the text command can have assigned a comment. The comment is the text. So that's when you have to worry, because if you're assigning information to this and you're assigning it accidentally to the text, then the text will change versus what the information is specifically to the symbol itself. So as this has been selected, I can right click and click group. And now this is one single markup created from individual items within there. So from there, I can drag and drop. This is now a group, and we can rename it if we wanted to as well. As we go back, I think it was, we'll just grab both the snapshot and the other one just to show you. So what I can go through and do is add a set scale. So these were created in 1/8 of an inch. Hit OK. If I go back to a different set here, and I place both of them before I enable my scale. Oops, before I enable my scale. And then set scale of the page.
Magical. So walk through what you did right there, because this comes up a lot. Using scale to actually, really highlight the power of creating these custom tools, because they will respond to scales based on different PDFs, right?
Yeah, and if you ever need to refer back to them, you can go to our resources pages or my LinkedIn page and go to publications, and there's a couple of them already on there. So let me scroll down. About setting scale and viewports as well. Yeah, page scale and viewports. So I'll share this one. first. And what's the next one?
Yeah, so Michael's looking at his list of publications on his LinkedIn profile. Speaking of LinkedIn, we have a morning coffee review group there. So you can certainly ask questions anytime you want. It doesn't have to be a Tuesday morning. Ideas for future episodes or anything else, just middle of the week, random stuff, go ahead and find that group.
And here's this one.
And otherwise, if those are joining us through
Okay.
Zoom, there's some new links in the chat for what Michael was talking about.
Yes. So going back and creating two different ways, right? So I did just manually creating them and tracing over. The other one is more of a snapshot. I guess the more important reasoning behind like symbols that have no information with text, it wouldn't matter if you did a snapshot or not. But when you're going through and having specific information here, that's probably when you'd have to worry about going through and doing the opposite. So just being aware of those differences. So I'm going to actually just draw a line here to the center. Hopefully, I think that's the center. So then I can get a circle. That's not going to be the center, but we'll make it work. So again, holding Alt, boom, and then text, right? So this is going to be detail title. So I know we'll just put title for this one so that people can change this. So when you group this together, you'll still be able to change the text thereafter. Let me make sure it's aligned to left. We'll do maybe middle. There we go. We'll delete this back into here. And there's supposed to be a number here. So I'll just Control C, Control V. We'll just do A. This is probably going to be a center text. Center. There we go. And for those of us that didn't know this little hack here, if you select something, you can select the other one by holding Shift, right click, and you can say align to center. And I think it's the opposite is what I want to do. So I want this one and then this one. So right click, align to center. It's still going to move that one. That's fine. We'll just move it all back. Align to middle. There we go. So from here to here, and we'll just go back to there and move this up. There we go. Now from all of this, I can select this, move it over to here. And from here, what I can go through and do is I can just select all. Now just be aware, the selecting order here, since I wide selected, you can see the last thing selected here is going to be this yellow one. Liz told me this because I always was like, I don't remember which one is selected first. But if you do a wide select, that's by using this command here by select or V for the hotkey. If you grab all, the last thing selected will be yellow. That's the important thing because that's where the comment is going to be assigned to. So just being aware of where the comment is going to be assigned to is important because if it's assigned to a text markup, that comment will change the text, which you don't really want to do, right? If you're going to give it some other type of information. Because you can always double click into these, even though if you're grouping, let me go to here. Even though if you're grouping these together, you can still double click into here and change this for whatever you'd like, right? But if I go and add this into my custom tool set here, the subject matter, the comment's still assigned, even though it wasn't part of it. So what I need to make sure is that these are selected. Man, this dog just loves to growl. It's stressing me out.
I can't hear it.
No, I can hear it.
There we go.
No, I think it's still going to change it. Yeah. So it's going to be this. I just always have to remember the order after I haven't done it in a while.
It can be tricky. That is for sure.
It's because there's a line here too. So we'll just grab these.
So you've got 4 different elements or objects that you're trying to group together, and the order that you select them in will determine which one drives the comment
Yep.
of the tool. There we go. And that's the goal, is to be able to change the comment without it affecting the text inside of the symbol that you're creating.
Yeah, correct. And I have them scaled. So there you go. As you can see here, I did the comment. So basically what I just made sure is that I selected this circle first, and then the line, and then the text last. So it's whatever you select first gets assigned the comment information versus last in the segment. So I just selected the circle, shift. It was hard to select the line because the text is near this line here. That's typically why I do a wide select. And majority of the time, it doesn't mess it up when I do a wide select, but sometimes, like we saw earlier, just automatically assign that value to it. So from here now, I can place this, even though the comment is something different, but you can still go in and change this if you wanted to. So these are all editable, even though, right, the comment is something different.
Right. And that comment will come into play a little later.
Cool.
All right. So
Don't let me chew ice into your guys' ear. I'm sorry.
So you've got you're building out a specific tool set of other tools that you can use for different things, and now you're just managing that by deleting the ones that you didn't want.
Yep.
Let's
And
go
then
through importing more tools into that tool set. So
yeah. And before we go, what I like to do too, just for setting up people's tool sets, is I like to take it to the next level. So for those folks that are creating these, what you probably want to do is also add a layer to these. So if you right click and just say layer, you can add them to your layers that you're going to go through. Just be aware, however you type these will be specific. So if you deviate from it, then they're all going to be on a different layer. So I just do a Control C, right click, layer, Control V, right click, layer, Control V. If you ever forget which one they're on, right click, layer, Control C, right? And just same thing, same forward. That way, when you're placing these, right, people have that option of being aware that if you turn this layer off, those markups from that layer are now not being shown. It also allows you later on to lock those, print, or export.
Good trick there. I don't think we've covered that part of making custom symbols, so that was well timed.
Then you're saying adding them, so adding, like sharing them with other people, or adding?
Both. So if you were to share these or import maybe the ones that we had put in the chat, the ones from Bluebeam themselves.
Oh, okay.
How to use them, I should say. I'll put that back in the chat. The custom libraries.
Clicked it up here, yeah. So if I grab this, I can scroll down and look at these. There's some good ones here. I think that's new. But we'll go over to here and we'll look at, a lot of people like the PNIDs. So we'll go into here, grab the zip file. I'll open the zip file, open the zip file, boom, boom, boom. Now I can double click on this, and here's all of the PNIDs that you have for reviews. So if you wanted to go and grab any of these, you could. Let me go and just grab my line walk workflow. So all you have to do is hit open. You could double click it. It's gonna, and if you don't have review open, it'll populate review open, and then enable it. So I already had it installed. It would have said already, it would have just said toolset has been added. Instead, it says toolsets already exists. Would you like to override it? So this is, let's say if somebody sent you a new update to the toolset that you already had in the active profile, they could send you the newly updated one. And this, if you hit yes, overwrite, that means the new one coming in is going to change everything that's in that one that you've already created. If you say no, it won't change that. So for this instance, yes, I don't know what changes I did to the original one. If I did any changes, then we'll see them. I think it was that one. Yeah. Nope. Here it is. Okay.
Man, you've got a lot of stuff going on in there.
So here's the line walk workflow. Let me shut these down and my tools too. So with the one that I installed, I don't know what these are. So all I have to do is hit detail mode. Now I know. So line walk legend. So they actually have a pre-created legend out of the box. So if I go through and place this here, place this here, and place this here, they have a different legend that's not actually having things shown. So this just looks like
it's a snapshot.
I can't even ungroup it. It's a snapshot. Yeah.
Yep. Weird.
So what you can do though, once you've created your tool set, you can create a legend that you save. So we were going to talk about legends too today. The only downside to this is that if you've created a new tool set, you'll have to a new tool in your tool set, then you'll have to recreate the legend. So just being aware of kind of the nuances, but there's really no efficient way of saving a tool set except creating the tool set and adding it. I mean, creating the legend and adding it to your tool set. So how do you go through and do that? So as I go through here and hit symbol, the gear symbol here, what it does for this specific punch key here is I can create a new legend. Now, the one out of the box may not be the one that you like. So what you may have done is come into here under title, change this to something different, like just punch key. And then what cells do you want to show for this specific one of the data columns? I want to edit these columns here. I want to show description, quantity, not unit, but subject maybe, and count, boom, which is still the same as unit, but that's fine. And then also what I want to go through and do is do grid lines, and I want to give it a point value of, I don't know, we'll do 1 here. And then from here, I don't want any fill. That looks good to me. Maybe we'll just keep it Hebelica. Legend, cool. If I wanted to put it on a layer, add it to tool chest, we'll do that all in a little bit. So now what I'm able to do is as I'm placing these, right, it starts itemizing them. Now what I can do is right click and just say, add this to my tool chest of the punch key cleaning. And I can delete these, delete this. And as I go through and place them, right, oops, I need to also have a legend, right? And there's my legend.
Whoa, why is that symbol showing up rotated? See that?
Yeah. I think it's always done that if I'm not right.
Maybe I missed that in the first round.
It's just, I don't know how they pull this metadata in for the symbols of the information of what it is.
Weird.
Yeah, because they don't have a symbol area.
What if you go
columns.
to the actual properties panel instead
of my dynamic?
Mm-hmm. Because sometimes there's extra goodies in there. There's a layout rotation, but that's probably for the whole thing. Yeah, interesting. That's probably not intentional. Doug's seen it happen on polylength measurements. Huh. Well, heck. It is what it is. We'll blame the out-of-the-box tools here.
I mean, the only person who'd probably bother would be like Matt.
Oh, I'm sure it would bother me too. But as you were. So the main thing here is make sure your tool sets are already set up before you start messing with legends.
Yeah.
Because otherwise it'll be hard to know which ones work and which ones don't without testing everything. So there are some certain benefits to this, and it would be kind of a neat exercise to actually try to redo that legend that came with that line work line walk workflow one, but there are some shadings that I don't know if we'll be able to do. Can you do?
I mean, so
Tell,
like
Phil.
with this one, they could have just created the legend from here and like the symbols are there with the description, right? Versus having this.
Can you match that?
It's
Challenge time. How close can you get to that? Because you'd
I don't, you
cell
can't
part-
like, yeah, like the when you do grids, right? Like you could, I guess you could do outline. Cool. So there's the outline, but then like your horizontal or vertical
yeah, it's not going to work right with
or
the
grid lines.
2 parts there.
Yeah.
But you could easily just make that under 2 separate legends, or the second part doesn't even have to be a legend, right?
Yeah.
Just the top part.
I bet you Liz could do something cool with JavaScript, but
No doubt. But yeah, because sometimes you see Michael's going through this pretty fast with configuring that legend, but obviously most of the things that we're talking about are standardizing them, right? So it works for the scale of the drawing, so it works consistently, so the layers are showing up right. And that legend is no different. So spend the time to configure it once, save it to the tool set, and it will always be there and consistent when you want to use it, instead of going through and manipulating it every single time, which we have the habit of doing sometimes.
that's hilarious. It doesn't even, these come in as squares.
Okay, did we just find okay. This is really weird. I mean, we're blaming their symbols totally, but that should still work just fine. That shouldn't be manipulating the shape.
Yeah, it should come in. I haven't had an issue yet where the markup's not like the same, but let's see if these, maybe it's because those are snapshots. Maybe that's the reasoning, but we'll see. Hold on. Create new legend. Nope. Like still comes in. Oh, the snapshot. Sorry. Ooh, the snapshot rotated.
Oh, breaking it. Okay.
Maybe because it was too many or.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah. I'd have to test it to see like, was it because there's too many and that's what changed it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, the size. So the size of the cells. But how do I change the symbol width size in here?
Okay. Yeah, there's some things we need to review here to figure out why it's doing that exactly.
Yeah. Anyways, so going back to covering the legend. So that's one way that you can go through and save them. Just be cautious that you can't, from what we can tell as of right now, you can't change that symbol
Make the legend wider.
area.
See if it makes room. No, it's just the whole thing scaling up, isn't it?
Yeah, the whole thing's just scaling. So just being aware that, right, the information here for the symbol visual of what it is isn't really modular. Okay, so moving forward, we talked about how we can create them in a couple of different ways. The only thing we left out, I think, was creating a sequence and the difference between a sequence and a count, which guess what? I created like a 3-minute video on YouTube for that. So if you did want to check that out, you can go to our YouTube channel if you want to rewatch it or rewatch this quick explanation of it. But basically, you have counts or sequences. Sequences are visual counts, so that on the page itself, you'll have a visual incrementation of something. So let me go through and just do this. There we are. Now, what you're able to do is group these together. Doesn't matter what order, because I'm going to go into here, drag it down, and right click and create a sequence. So for this one, I can define the sequence value for it. So numbering, what type of number style do I want? You decide. We'll just do regular, prefix, suffix. Does it start at something different? Go to the next one at a different page. Now, do these reset at each page or for the document itself, right? So as I'm clicking and I go to the next page, is the sequence going to increase more from that page or the entire document? So you get to decide. I'm going to hit OK. So with this now, what I'm able to do is you'll see a play button down here under this markup. And it, as I click it and place it, it's counting and incrementing specific towards my left click on my mouse. However, this itemizes per instance place down here, and you'll see groups in your markups lists, which may not be efficient for everybody because now you have, 7 markups placed versus a singular markup for a count. So a count is, if I right click and create this into a count, it's the measurement bar below it. And as I'm placing this, we'll just do, well, you see it says count measurement. So as I'm placing these, right, it doesn't increment on the page. However, down in the markups lists, now if I go and look for my count measurement, there's 9, 1 markup for 9 that were placed versus 7 markups as their own instance placed, but visually counted. So you decide. Make sense?
Yep, it sure does. So there's some good chat going on here. Ben had an interesting question that sort of ties into what we're talking about, since you did open up the Pandora's box of the markups list. So his question is there a way to make a checklist next to your page of the PDF where you can run through QA/QC items for a specific type of sheet so that you have a reference of what you're reviewing next to the PDF itself? So this immediately comes to mind when we do a markup summary and then view split screen. That's how I would approach that pretty quick.
What's the question again? Sorry.
So if you're reviewing a marked up set of plans, right,
Mhm.
and you're doing QA/QC to that, how do you make a checklist next to that so you can go through and say, yep, that one's done, that one's done, that one's done? There are the statuses, right?
I would do I wouldn't try to split screens. I would do it all in review. So basically making sure you can click on any markup that's been made, right? So you can go through down here and pick which ones you want. So like, let's just say there was a revised item here, revised item here, and you wanted to go through and look at these, right? So, hey, there's this markup. Was this completed? You can, 1 second. You know how you have your own puppy and you love how quiet she is?
Mm-hmm.
And then you get someone else's at your house sitting for, and she just whines because I'm talking in here and she's like, why aren't you talking to me? Anyways, so going back into here, as you're looking at this markup, what you can go through and do is I can select this cloud and hit status. And I guess the question would be, are you looking at the new set and trying to make sure that it was completed? Or are you looking in like Revit? That would be also an explanation of a workflow, because I could have just imported these markups from the old PDF into this new PDF to verify that these changes were made. And then in here, still mark completed, right? Okay, this was changed. Good. Marked completed. And then you can also filter. So they don't need to just be marked completed. You could do something different, like a checklist in here. So there is a check mark here, and you can just check it, boom, checked. And then you can go through and say, hey, let me filter for things that are not checked, right? So I can go to my checkbox and say, not checked. Cool. These ones are not checked. So these are all the things that were not completed. Here, Artley, you didn't complete these. You need to go through and complete them, right?
Yeah.
So
that's a great answer. That answers the question of how I understood it, but apparently we were a little wrong. And Beth chimed in and helped. They're looking for a standard checklist. Is there a north arrow on the page? Is it dated?
Oh, okay.
That type of checklist instead of a QA/QC of what's actually already on the PDF.
Okay. So then I interpreted the question wrong. So was it answered then?
There might be another way to do this that might take a little bit more thought power than I've got right now. in order to make sure that you can check for those things. And I could almost start having another PDF where you could okay, Corey's put in the chat, you can create a stamp that would give you the checklist. But I was thinking about symbology. I could search for things, right? Is the north arrow there? Let me go search for the north arrow, and it will go through and find it.
You
So
could do like, and you probably know what pages they'd be on, right? So I'd probably title the pages, right? And then go and just say, look for this. So what you could do is just say search, grab the symbol, get rectangle, and search, right? And as it searches for this symbol, if you named your pages correctly, I think mine, I didn't, out of the box, it just says page 1 or 2. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not out of the box, how I printed these, page 1 or 2. So page 5 and page 2. So there are only 2 plans in here. There's the foundation and then a framing plan. So then like, good. Now I know that there's 2 because that's all I had for these sets.
Mm-hmm.
But what you could have done, right, which would take this a step further, is just let me create these page labels since I didn't create them. Page region select, because I want this data. And then now you have your names of your sheets, right? So I only had 1 roof framing plan and 1 foundations. The other ones are details, so it didn't really matter to me. But it updated this. So good. Now I have my north arrow here. What about the scale bar? We can go through and just say, do all these 2 pages also have a scale? So I can go through and say search. As it takes a second for the data.
Yeah. You can see that progress bar in the lower right-hand corner.
Yeah, I guess you could just be more efficient, just look, but it's fine.
Yeah, so this is an interesting conversation in the chat, trying to figure out how to do that checklist. And there's some good answers. We could use a stamp that could have some, interactive radio buttons on it. We could do a form and do side by side. You could do some different check boxes. So this might be worth making its own episode here in a week or 2, or whenever we're due for new topics, which is actually coming up. So let's put some more thought into this one, because I think there's a few ways that we could approach this. So I will challenge you all, MCR listeners, for think about this, right? And then maybe in July, I think I'm still due to get some topics over to marketing. We'll do this in July, and we'll all have a conversation about how you've applied this.
I think we should take a poll and then have people, then we could show all those polled out workflows.
Yeah, there we go.
So next week we'll have a poll if you join in and listen to our special guest, and then we'll let you all kind of derive which examples we want to show. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best thing.
Yeah. So it's kind of an MCR challenge, but yeah, Ben, this is what we're here for, man.
Yeah, that's what we're here for.
To bring the community together, because as it was mentioned, there's so many different ways to do the same thing or to have a different approach. And that's why we have this community thing going on, because it's not just Michael and I trying to figure things out, right? It's everybody chiming in and helping out, so we all grow together, which is the whole key tenet of what we're doing here at MCR. So thanks for the question, honestly. And then, speaking of next week, we've got 5 minutes left. So if there's any questions at all, put them in the chat. Next week, again, we're switching to a bi-weekly thing. So this week is technical. We're doing more hands-on visual stuff. Next week, we're going to be having a conversation with a special guest for Espresso Yourself. And then we'll go back.
Whoa. Espresso yourself.
Espresso yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
And then we'll start. I'm going to go through our topic list, and I'm going to get this incorporated for next month, because I'm sure I'm behind. So at the same note, if you've got a specific topic that you have in mind, or like that you would either like to have us cover, or if you want to come on and show your workflow, we're down for that. Just let us know. Put it on our LinkedIn group, put it in the survey that you get if you were a Zoom attendee at the end of this. Say, hey, I want to come on and talk all about interactive stamps. Cool, let's talk about it. Right. Those are separate from the Espresso Yourself. These are just, help showing workflows. You all are doing things inside the industry that we aren't doing, because everything that we do is sort of held to for other customers stuff. But yeah. And Danny, yes, when are we going to do a civil set workflow? So there was some
Wasn't there
teasing.
one that we did the other day?
I've done a Bluebeam for civil a couple of years ago, a webinar, but I don't know if we've done MCR all about civil symbology and things, because we were sort of joking in the chat earlier. I love all those civil stamps and tool sets that were pre-populated on the Bluebeam website, because there are none. Right?
Oh, is there really not?
There's P&ID, and there's oil and gas, and there's architecture, and there's landscape. There's even people, but there's not a single thing on there for civil, unless you count the tree symbols, which we're not doing.
I thought
So
there was like site.
there's no manholes, no structures, no water valves, no fire hydrants, none of that stuff. And that's where maybe we need to build our own.
Maybe I was thinking inside of landscaping. Wild.
Yeah.
You're right.
But that would all, follow the same workflow that Michael showed today, right? Either using the snapshot as an option, which has its pros and cons, or redrawing it with the Bluebeam line type line tools, which also works fine, right? So depending on how big of your list you want to do, if you just did one for some utilities, you're talking about a couple hours worth of work, which could be worth it, right? So yeah. I've put this link in the chat a couple times. There you go, Ben. Just because it's quick on the copy paste. So support.bluebeam.com/review-custom-libraries. It's kind of hard to find if you Google it. That's why we always bookmark it. They don't usually make it that easy to find, but it's a great resource and it's free, right? As mentioned before, chapter 2, Troy has made some amazing free tools.
Yeah, I think he
on
has
his
over
site.
like 1,000 or something like that.
Yeah, he's got a ton of them.
But just be aware that they are great tools, but they don't come with the profile and the markups list. So if he did have some like imported stuff, which makes sense. I mean, come on. He's running a business. So
yeah.
Be aware that some things that work with symbology also tie into like a workflow specific, which means there's data that ties into the markups list and then tie into the profile, right? So if you want to take and build off them, or just reach out to Troy to, maybe there's a cost behind it that you can get more of the information with it, or, some other stuff. The other additional one is that we can also help and create custom tool sets for you as well.
Absolutely. So you have options if you don't have time to do all this stuff, or if you just want it done in a particular way. We can, show you the fish or give you the fish. You tell us how we can be of help. But we hope today's episode proves fruitful for you. We covered quite a bit. Remember that reminder, you have got 8 days until the end of life for review 19 or below. So if you're on that older stuff,
yep,
the clock is ticking. Start talking to your IT folks and those who make decisions, because you only have 8 days left to save money, because you're going to be forced to the new stuff anyway. So you might as well do it. And if you've got more questions, feel free to reach out to us or check out the Bluebeam website. But with that, we got 1 minute left. So I want to say thank you for joining us today. Happy summer tomorrow. Tomorrow's first day of summer. And join us next week for Espresso Yourself with a special guest, and we're going to have a good old time.
Perfect. Thanks, everyone, and have a good rest of your week.
All right. Take care.